HAFIZ TV, unique every day.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله الكريم.
I want to say a very big thank you to Imam Tajuddin Idris, Regional Imam for the Greater Accra region, for Jemsa, for the honor. Please put your hands together for him. So let's introduce to you once again who are seated. I'm pretty sure a lot of us are already aware of the very people seated on the high table who are present here. I'm going to start off with one person, a youth who has dedicated his life towards ensuring that the youth of Zongo community are checked, are properly educated, are properly groomed, properly mentored, so that they can be and become the best form of themselves. One soldier who has been traveling from institutions, schools, and many places preaching the gospel of truth, honesty, integrity, and one person who has been championing the abuse of illicit drugs in our communities and making sure that our youth become ambassadors of their own and become the very best version of themselves. The accolades are many. It's our brother, Christian Aprof Mustafa. Please put your hands together for him. He's over there. Any moment from now, he's going to take the center stage and he will deliver on the review that we're talking about this particular book we're reviewing. And also, joining us is our father and our leader. He tells me the last time that each time I'm going to introduce him, I should indicate that he's a man of many wives and he has a lot of children. This man, right from school, infancy, childhood, adulthood, everything about him is a symbol or synonymous to Islam. Everything from whatever he does, including the very means of survival, is Islam. He calls to the religion and he gets a little token, and he's very comfortable with that. Many a times, many misunderstood him. But he's one person who has stood firm and has groomed a lot of students in Ghana. A lot. I'm not talking about thousands. A lot. We've lost count. And today we are happy that he's in good health. He's aging gracefully. And he's here with us. With all humility, with a huge round of applause, let's give it up to Sheikh Ishaq Nyoma. Put your hands together. And to a very dear friend of ours, I'm sure we will adopt him as a Zongo person because the tradition demands that when someone who is not part of you and has done something to, as it were, praise one of you, you've got to give him credit. I mean, even in a tradition, if you go to our homes and you go deliver good message, and I kind of went to Koichi. When the person deliver a message, you said, okay, this is a small token for you. And that's tradition of the Zongo people. And here, we're here with the author. I understand this author, with all humility and respect, didn't take anything from nobody. This is his instinct, intellectually analytical ability to come out with a book on this particular topic. And today, he's sharing the book with us by reviewing the book with us. Please, with all humility and respect, let's welcome and acknowledge the presence of our author, Professor Echi Sikanku. Put your hands together for him. So without much ado, the very few personalities join us, and the rest, by the will of God, we're going to be acknowledging them. We also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge the student bodies who are here, to all of us who are here, with all humility and respect. Can we all put our hands together for ourselves for being here? MashaAllah, tabarakallah. So as you can see, the banner is written boldly. a book titled Dr. Bawumia and the Modern Vice Presidency in Ghana. It's a book review and a conversation on leadership with Zongo youth. It's important that when we come to an event like this, we hear from the horse's own mouth. And with all humility, once again, I'm going to invite the author himself to come and deliver a review message as far as the authorship of this book is concerned. And please, this time around, let's give it up as we welcome on stage HAFIZTVOFFICIAL. Put your hands together for him. But I'm going to do something and tell you a little bit about the author. It's important before we allow him to come and deliver a message, we get to know the person in question. So Professor HAFIZTVOFFICIAL is an associate professor of journalism and communication at the University of Media Arts and Communication Institute of Journalism. He obtained his PhD in journalism and mass communication from the University of Ohio. He holds a master's degree in journalism and communication studies from University State University and a BA first class in political science from the University of Ghana, Legon. He received the 2011 Outstanding Doctoral Student Award for Research from the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Ohio. Professor HAFIZTVOFFICIAL's work has appeared in top-rated global recognized journals such as the International Journal of Communication, Harvard Journal of Communication, International Communication Research Journal, Communication and the Public, and Journal of Black Student Studies. He is the co-author of an article on political crisis communication in an International Crisis Communication Handbook. By the high recognized Routledge Press, Professor HAFIZTVOFFICIAL is a scholar of political communication, media representation, political reporting, comparative communication, political framing, campaign communication, and international communication. So you can see everything communication, Professor HAFIZTVOFFICIAL is there. The first book, The Afrocentric Obama and the Lesson on Political Campaign, was the subject of a book talk at Harvard University in the fall of 2016. He was also a guest speaker at the University of Pennsylvania, Columbia University, Ohio State University, based on his first book. HAFIZTVOFFICIAL has written, provided extensive scholarship and in-depth analysis on the role of communication, specifically frames in a variety of local and international media, public and intellectual outlets. Platform. He has also contributed extensively to public discourse and public policy nationally and internationally. In fact, he's one of the few scholars who still practice in the field of journalism, serving as a television host, special assignment reporter, and radio talk show host on national and international issues. He served as an international correspondent for City FM during the 2008 and 2014 presidential election in the US. He's broadly interested in the role of public communication in international and global affairs, particularly in democratic and political deliberation. He just returned from the US 2 weeks ago after covering the Democratic National Convention, where Kamala Harris was certified as the Democratic candidate for President of the United States, while he was a guest lecturer in several universities such as Drake University, Hawaii State University, and University of Hawaii, and all in the United States, where he lectured based on his book on Dr. Bawumia. It was well received, with the book being adopted by some professors in the US for their coursework. His academic career includes teaching appointment at the University of Ghana, Department of Communication Studies, and the University of Media Arts and Communication Institute of Journalism, UNIMAC in particular. And so, therefore, you can see and know in particular that this particular person we're talking about has an in-depth knowledge and is the right person to have written this book, if not him. Once again, let's welcome him, Professor HAFIZTVOFFICIAL. Put your hands together for him.
Good afternoon to you all. How you guys doing? Oh, I'm not feeling your energy at all. You know, this is my first time over here. I'm so impressed with the imposing building and the nice ambience over here. But I'm not feeling that energy in your voice. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, you're now coming. You're now coming. How are you all doing? Okay, good. All right. Not great. Yes, great. You know, this is a great day. You should feel great, not just good. So how are you all doing? Exactly. Great. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you to the leadership here, Tamimu, our honorable religious leaders over here, and to all of you for at least welcoming me here and giving me the opportunity to be here. It's a very important day for me as well because I get to enjoy this very nice facility, but also to talk about something that is very dear to my heart, something that is very passionate to me. And I really like engaging with young people because you represent a lot of promise and a lot of future for this country. It's nice to be back home and seeing a lot of young people here who are going to become great men and women in future. Maybe one day we'll have our future president also sitting here. Who knows? You know, I've been around. I've been speaking to a lot of young people in the U.S., but this is a very different kind of audience as well. These are my own people, flesh and blood. You know, so it's nice to interact with you guys as well. I'm going to be talking about my book. I almost said the Afrocentric Obama because I've written two books. The first book I wrote was on Barack Obama. You guys know Barack Obama? Yes. Okay. Who is he? Thank you very much. Former President of the United States. Okay, so you guys are very caring. Some of the students in the US, all they care about is music and entertainment. They don't know anything about current affairs. But anyhow, so my first book was on Barack Obama. I wrote about his leadership, and it went really big in the US. I was invited to Harvard University to talk about that book. I sent a copy to Barack Obama himself. We met a couple of times when he came to my university for campaign stops and all of that. My second book is Dr. Bawumia and the Modern Vice Presidency. My first book was based on my PhD thesis. This book is based on my research as a professor. So I'm a lecturer. I lecture at the University of Media, Arts, and Communication. It used to be called Ghana Institute of Journalism. I think you are familiar with that name. Yeah, GIG. It used to be called Ghana Institute of Journalism. I used to work at the University of Ghana, Legon, Department of Communication Studies. And then GIG poached me to come and work over there. So this is my background. I've also worked a little, not a little bit, quite extensively in the media. I used to work at CDFM before going to the US. Over there, too, I worked for the Daily IU1, Iowa State Daily, Iowa Public Radio, and then hosted a talk show. When I came to Ghana, too, I hosted a talk show called World Affairs. So I'm an academic and a practitioner. So that's a bit of my background. But I've also reported on elections globally. So 2 weeks ago, I was in the US to report on the Democratic Convention, like he said. And many media across Africa have interviewed me on this. So I do analysis for media, not just in Ghana, but in Nigeria, in Kenya. I've done South Africa, and we're about to do one for Uganda as well. So that's a bit of my background and my profile. And of course, for media in the US as well. When I was in the US, I didn't just report for Ghanaian media, but I did it for media in the US itself as well. So that's a little bit of my background. So I'm a researcher, I'm a professor, I write a lot. My area of expertise is political communication. I try to look at the intersection between media, communication, and politics. Media, communication, and politics. So it was in the middle of doing all of this that I encountered Dr. Bawumia. And a lot of people ask me, what really inspired you to write this book? What made you do this? even when I had my public lecture in the US, I had that question, and it starts from what I just said, media, communication, and politics. Because I am in the space of media, communication, and politics, and I research and I read a lot about great speakers and great communicators, I encountered our vice president. And I studied him over time, and I said, no, this is a different phenomenon. I told myself something new, something great, something phenomenal is unraveling before our very eyes in Ghana. But it looks like people are not really noticing it. Yes, he's been with us for 2016, the usual politics, people talk, they accuse, criticize, whatever. But after taking a very critical look at what was happening, I realized he is a different kind of vice president. And so I decided that, you know what, it's very important for somebody to write about this kind of vice president because of the difference he's brought. So this is not really about politics. This is not about NDC or NPP. This is about our nation, Ghana. It is about the future of our country, and it's about leadership. So I decided to take my time and write about the things I had observed about him that made him a different kind of leader. The things I observed about him that made me take notice of who he was, that inspired me to say that, okay, you know what? This is something very fresh, something different. We need to document it. We need to write about it. Because some years ago, there were people, the US was at the same stage that we were in. A lot of their vice presidents were very, very laid back. They were very, very quiet. They were not seen. They were not heard much. They just sat there. If it's time to go and read a speech, they go and read a speech and they come back. Until one person decided that, no, I am going to be a different kind of vice president. In fact, the vice presidency was so unattractive to many people in the US that when they gave them the position to be vice president, they normally would reject it because they feel when you go, you are just going to sit down and just be doing things for the president without really having a lot of power and authority. So they preferred being in the Senate rather than to be vice president. But this man called Walter Mondale changed the position of the vice presidency. He said he will become a different kind of vice president. He will become a vice president who will use his position to impact society greatly. And this happened for the United States. When I observed Dr. Bawumia, I noticed that he was doing the same thing in Ghana, that we were at a certain stage in our democracy where the position of the vice presidency was changing. He was becoming a very different kind of vice president. And then I compared him to Walter Mondale in the 1960s, who was the vice president to Jimmy Carter, and who changed the position of the vice presidency in the United States such that anybody who became vice president, whether you were Republican or Democrat, they always followed the template of Walter Mondale. And they always gave him the credit because they said he was a different vice president who showed us what it means to be an effective vice president. And I noticed that this was what Dr. Bawumia was doing in Ghana. But a lot of people had not noticed that, had not noticed the difference he was bringing to our politics and the difference he was bringing to the vice presidency. So I decided that, well, it is about time to put that, to document that into a book. And I was going through my notes because I was looking for some of the quotes people made about the vice presidency, not in Ghana, but in the US. One person said, the first vice president of the US, the very, very first vice president of the US said something. He said, my country has, in its wisdom, contrived for me the most insignificant office that ever the imagination of man or his imagination could ever contrive or conceive. As I can neither do good nor evil, I must be borne away by others and be met with a common fate. Then another vice president said something. He said, once there were two brothers, one ran away to sea and the other was elected vice president. Well, guess what? When the other was elected vice president of the United States, and nothing was heard of either of them again. Listen, he said, nothing was heard of the one who went to sea and the one who became vice president. What does this mean? It meant that the position was so insignificant that they will not ever hear of you again. Another vice president, Calvin Coolidge, said something. He said, this position, okay, is only as useful as a cow's fifth teeth. I do not propose to be dead, to be buried until I'm really dead. In the first 100 years of US history, no fewer than 7 proposals had been brought to abolish the position of the vice presidency. I am giving you this history to lay the foundation that the position of the vice presidency is not the way we have seen or known it as it is today. And I'm also trying to establish the point that even in a country like the United States, the position of the vice presidency had not always been as impactful as it is today until one man decided to change it. And that one man was called Walter Mondale. And he conducted himself in such a way that he became a template for all other vice presidents in the US, whether you are Republican or Democrat. And it has been documented. Now, what is my point? My point is that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is to Ghana what Walter Mondale is to the US. In terms of how he has revolutionized, in terms of how he has changed, in terms of how he has reformed the vice presidency, the way he has conducted himself has made him an impactful, effective, and consequential vice president, because he has used that position not to enrich himself, but as an instrument for social progress, for social transformation, and for social advancement. That is my point. And my point is that the way, when he was made vice president, the way he conducted himself was different, because he became a more visible vice president, a more vociferous vice president, a more active vice president, a more energetic vice president, a more innovative vice president, a more empathetic vice president, a more hardworking vice president, which made him a vice president with a difference. And so I said, well, I mean, people are not recognizing this. And so I did my research and decided to put all of this into this book so that we can all read and learn. Because, you know, let's face it, our nation will rise and fall based on the kind of leadership that we have. And the leadership of Dr. Bawumia is characterized by certain values and certain principles, which I realized after doing my research and putting it in the book. I said, this is something that we all need to know as a nation. Because whether we belong to one party or the other, the fact is that he has changed the way in which vice presidents conduct himself. I think that is something all of us can agree on. Yes, I mean, when you talk to the young people, they tell me, oh, okay, I mean, if for nothing at all, normally they don't really see vice presidents being so active and being so, yes. So as far as communication and as far as his conduct is concerned, he has changed, he has positively impacted that position through his leadership. And this is somebody who is a figure of inspiration, or should be a figure of inspiration to all of us. And so the lessons that I put here, what I do in this book, is that I take it from a nationalistic perspective. I wrote this book for young people. Yes, I didn't write this book because of politics. I wrote this book for young people because I realized that in the US, people write a lot. They document. Every listing, they will document it, they will write it. But I was wondering, why don't we have that culture in this country? So, young people need to learn from leadership. So, wherever you belong, there are things that you can learn from leadership. Just take it that this is the leader we had at a certain point in our history. After all the politics, after all the controversies, what can we learn from the human being himself? Because after all, it cannot all be negative. There are positive things we can learn. So I decided to document this because I realized enough had not been said about that. And those are the values that I've enumerated. The first thing I realized, that he is a man of dignity. Yes, I observed, I said, this is somebody who does not use insults in his political communication. He is a man of dignity and of decorum. And in our area of political communication, we talk about civility and politeness in politics. The language that we use. Decent language, decorous language, civil language, which will encourage unity rather than division. And throughout his speeches, I mean, look at it, do the research. You cannot find a single insult in it. And so I said, he represents an example of political civility and political dignity. Because language can either unite or divide us. And the kind of language we use is very, very important. So that is one, a man of dignity. The second thing is that he is a man of humility. You look at him and you can tell that he is not faking it. This is who he is. Wherever he goes bow down to the chiefs and people of authority. He is a man of respect and a man of humility and politeness. And I'm saying that as young people, these are values that will help us in our career as we grow. Let me tell you, if you are humble, you can get anything you want. Because people do not want proud people. They want humble people. And that is why Dr. Bawumia has been so admired, and he's been so he's been praised and commended by a lot of people. And he's been well received by people of different races, different tribes, different religions, because they admire that humility that is present in him. And it cuts across. People from different religious backgrounds have said it. I mean, it's not just one person. And I believe as young people, that is something we can learn from. Okay? So when you are elected as a leader, you don't go and lord it over people. You must be humble. You must serve. Leadership is about service. So I learned that from him, the leadership of service. The next thing, he is a man of empathy. Empathy. I remember when I was launching my book, a Catholic priest came there. He said, when Dr. Bawumia comes to the place, he puts his hand behind him. He goes to the lepers. He holds their hands. He puts it. Some people don't even want to go near them. But he's so empathetic. He has a compassionate heart. And these are the kind of leaders that we need. Our nation needs empathetic and compassionate leaders. Our nation needs leaders who are courageous. Why do I say the other value is courage? Why do I say that? Because he was courageous enough to pursue the things that he was convicted of, irrespective of whoever said what. All of us here know him as Mr. Digitalization. And when he did that, people were mocking him. The economists are now become all of that. But he did not lose focus. I think that is an example for all of us. We must be people of courage and people of conviction. He pursued it. And now this digitalization has become a major thing in this country. And of course, this country needs innovation. We need a creative leader because the future is digital. If we are supposed to move ahead as a nation, then we need digitalization to be a very deliberate and conscious national policy strategy to move this country and march it forward to become like any of the industrialized countries that we know. Because what makes a difference is that those countries, there is what? High penetration of digital. I mean, you go there, I mean, you guys know it. I mean, the internet is fast, the services are so effective because it is a highly digitalized society. So, he is somebody who believes in innovation and in creativity. And it will lead to a lot of job opportunities. And so, these are some of the qualities that I found in him. The last quality that I'll talk about before I take my seat, or the last couple, is that he's a very hard-working person. And he's a man of excellence. I want to encourage all of us here to imbibe those values of hard work. As young people, let us always remember to apply. You see, President Kufuor gave him a job, and he worked very hard. He just didn't go and sit down. He could have done that. Very hard working. And that is a quality that will take all of us far. We must be diligent. What does diligence mean? Somebody should tell me. Diligent. Diligence. Have you heard that word before? What does it mean to be diligent? What does it mean to be diligent? You know it. Oh, thank you, Sheikh. Please help us.
I'm also listening. You see, he confused you people. He said hardworking. Then he brought the word diligent. Diligent means to be hardworking. It's as simple as that. Are you ready to imitate that? If you don't have diligence, you can never succeed in life.
Thank you. Sheikh, thank you very much. I like that. If you don't have diligence, you can never succeed in life. And that is very true. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, when you go to the dictionary, it says what? The careful and persistent hard work and effort. So it's the same thing. Persistent hard work. And that is one quality that we observed from Dr. Bawumia, the diligence, the hard work. He became the face of the government, delivering the public lectures, advocating for digitalization, advocating for the poor, social intervention. And that is a quality that will take us in life if we are all diligent in our work and in our efforts. So, these are some of the qualities that we have, but there's a lot more that we can learn from this book and that are here. I know that he's standing here because of the time. But I'm saying that Ghana, with all its challenges, is still one of the greatest nations on earth with enormous promises and endless opportunities. However, the only way we can realize our dreams and make these opportunities possible is by electing leaders with the right mindset, the right values, the right skill set, the right character. And that leader is none other than Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Thank you very much.
This is a pure academic work, pure excellence, pure research-based, and this is why he's come out with this research, that indeed Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has been the pace setter when it comes to vice presidency in Ghana, and you can see all of that through his work put together, as it were, Dr. Bawumia and the modern vice presidency in Ghana. Once again, please put your hands together for him. Put your hands together. Of course, that is an overview. And now we'll draw the curtains to do the review. And the first person to do the review is one person who has been following the trajectory of the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, his movement, his style, his systems, his leadership, as far as government activity is concerned. And is also a man of God. At this juncture, we shall invite upon our first speaker who will do the first review for us in the person of Pastor Alexander King Doku. Put your hands together for him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I will stand on all existing protocols. I'll even use like 5 minutes. Because my brother has said it all, I mean, the qualities, the values, and everything. But what I like about the banner is leadership with relation to the Zongo youth. I'm a pastor by calling, a Ghanaian by nationality, and I believe that I'm a nationalist. I believe that everyone in Ghana should have better lives, better conditions of existence. So I see myself as a nationalist. I also see myself as a youth advocate, or I'll call myself a progressive youth. And because today I'm speaking in this place with Zongo youth, I also identify myself as a Zongo youth. Someone may ask, how come a pastor is identifying himself as a Zongo youth? I'm a Zongo youth because I grew up in the Zongos. I remember in the early 90s, I think 92 thereabout, my mom had a small provision shop in Nima, near Gorillas. So I grew up in Nima. I don't know what it's about her. When our rent was due in Nima, she moved to Sabo Zongo. How many of you know Sabo Zongo? So I started my basic education living in Sabo Zongo, a place called Ngozebermawa. Right? In Ngozebermawa, the place that the Zeberma people stay in Sabo Zongo. That was where I grew up. So that's why I identify myself as what? A Zongo youth. You understand? So when I was told that this program is tailored for Zongo youth, I was excited and honored when my brother asked me to tag along. So I believe that Zongo youth, we've come a long way. I remember when I was growing up, we were marginalized, we were looked down upon, we were classified as the most uneducated bunch of people in the nation. They looked at us as people that we will never amount to anything. Because I'm a Christian and I was living in the Zongos, and because I speak Hausa fluently, most people even thought I was a Muslim. And one thing that I love about the Zongo or the Zongo youth or the people in the Zongos is that when you accept them, they accept you back. So my brother wrote in the book about fellow feeling, or that spirit of brotherliness. And in the Zongos, one thing also that I realized that there was tolerance. We tolerated each other. Christian and Muslim living side by side. As a matter of fact, most of my childhood friends are still my best friends up to today. When I go to the Zongo, they don't treat me like, oh, he's a pastor. So they treat me as one of their own. Even the elderly, they ask me to pray for them. So I'm coming to speak briefly, practically, about the Zongo youth and leadership. In line, or I'm bringing Dr. Bawumia as a reference point. What is it about Dr. Bawumia that I'm excited about? I see him as an inspirational figure to all youth, especially the Zongo youth. I see him as an inspirational figure. A man that when you meet him, you are inspired and you believe that it is possible. So I also see him as a symbol of possibility, a symbol of positivity, a symbol of peace, a symbol of prosperity. That is why I'm here this afternoon, to share with you my personal conviction about the man called Mahmoud Bawumia. I'm a pastor, I'm a Christian, but I love his person and I love his disposition. My brother spoke about civility, spoke about humility, spoke about compassion, spoke about diligence, spoke about what? Integrity, accountability. And one thing is that he's a dependable person. Because for him to be a vice president for 8 years, supporting his boss, Nana Adudankwa Akufo-Addo, who has endorsed him to be president, what I will tell us youth is that we should learn to be good apprentices. We should learn to be good apprentices. Because it is when preparation meets opportunity, that is when success is arrived at. So I see him as a man prepared. I see him as a man that has the necessary capabilities. Somebody asked me a question which I'll speak about briefly. On the ballot paper, which number is he? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is what? Number 1. So somebody asked me after my review at University of Ghana that why do I think? Because people were talking about somebody picked 3. And she said the Trinity is with her. Somebody picked 8. They said breaking 8 and all that. So the question is, the person asked me, you have been speaking about Bawumia. You said you believe in him. You said he cut the mark to be a good leader and all that. What do you think? What does it mean? He picking the number 1 slot on the ballot. So I came this afternoon briefly to answer that question in the best of my knowledge. I believe that Dr. Bawumia picked number 1, which is prophetic, because number 1 is principal. Or in another setting, you can say that is prince, a prince. So I see him as what? A prince in waiting. Whether it will happen this year or it will happen in 4 years' time, if he will come back as a presidential candidate for 100 years, I will still be confident about his abilities to be a great leader for this nation. Why am I saying so? I believe he's a man of destiny. I believe in destiny because I don't believe that it's by accident that he became a vice president and now he's vying to be a president. I don't see it as an accident. I see it as a providential design. I see it as something that God Almighty has orchestrated. So I see him as what? A man of destiny. That is why he picked the number 1 slot. Because destiny is beckoning him. Do you get it? And I want to believe that this year, God will crown all his effort with a resounding success. There are many, many other things that I want to say concerning him. But I believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be a very great leader. So he will be a very great leader for our country. You know, I consider myself a progressive youth, as I've said. Or as you say, Allahu Akbar. Or Atabil. So I'm excited to be here this afternoon. There are a lot of things that I've put down, but because of time, I'll give it out, and I believe they'll print it. It will be in the print. You read my reasons why I believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a vessel for national transformation. And my appeal to all Zongo youth, including myself, is that come December 7th, we should go out, mobilize ourselves, and vote massively for one of our own. Thank you, and God bless us all. At the break.
Please put your hands together for him once again. Put your hands together for him. Pastor, please come. Tunda ka ce kai Zongo ne in musu Hausa kadan su je.
Ana ji Hausa sosai. Yasa na ce ba na ezuban ya Hausa kaman da ba na ce ba kowa da kowa cikin Zongo, cikin Nima, Newtown, ko ina mu yi guda mu vote ma Dr. Bawumia. Yaran Zongo duka, because this is our chance. If this chance passes, I'm afraid. Just like we are regretting Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, we may regret if we don't do the right thing come December 7th. I'm not afraid to say this because everybody has one vote, even including the candidate himself. So I am encouraging each and every one of us, as long as we are speaking about Zongo youth, the well-being of Zongo community and inner cities, we must vote massively for a man that will have our best interests at heart. Thank you very much, and God bless us.
Thank you so much for that wonderful message. I want to say a very big thank you. That's our pastor, Alexander Kindoku. Thank you so much. So we go to the next speaker, who is also going to be reviewing the book. And he's one person who has been championing education, illicit drugs in our community, going from one institution to the other. And he is one of us, and he's here today to also assist and help in this book review. Please, with all humility and respect, let's put our hands together as we welcome onto the podium Kustin Abrof Mustafa. Put your hands together for him. Youth commandant. So, African youth commandant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the name of Allah, the most merciful and special merciful, indeed all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the world, the creator of creation. He alone we worship, and He alone we ask for help. Unimaginable greetings and the peace of Allah be upon the humble human being ever walk on this earth, Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to his household, to his companions, and to all human family. Beloved, it is my greatest pleasure and a privilege to be part of this book review. I got this book, yesterday. I was waiting for it for a long time, but I got it yesterday. And as a social worker, when I was going through the book, I didn't want to wear a political lens. Yeah, I wanted to look at the book from a social reformer practitioner, and so that I can do the review very well in my understanding. But first, let's look at the title of the book. Dr. Bawumia and the modern vice presidents in Ghana. I don't want us to wear a political lens, because some of us have been born with a political color in the community we come from. And it has become like a DNA in us. Even when that color doesn't make any contribution to your life, you don't care, because it's for my mom, it's for my dad. So I just want to look at the title of the book, and let's just play back to history and find out that the title of the book doesn't make relevant. Yes, it is. I'm young, but I'm at least I've lived for 3 decades. Have seen Jerry John Rory's rule. And I know about the vice president. I've seen Atta Mills, I've seen Kufuor, and I've seen a vice president. And if I'm going to look through all the vice president that I was living and I knew, in actual fact, this vice president is a modern vice president. This, I'm talking about facts, and you can check it out. That's the reason why I just want to open my heart and make sure that the review of the book, some of the chapters that I've gone through, and I'm just talking about only the cover and the title of the book, and that is the reality. I know this is our vice president from Northern Region, Aliyu Mama. In actual fact, what I only knew is that it was even very hard to see Aliyu delivering at programs. We witnessed that. So we saw it. So for the title of the book, let's give Prof a credit of giving that book that title. And I chose chapter 8, Bawumia's vision. That's the chapter 8. That is the title. Okay? The nation we can. You know, that's my father's here. My father, Shak Miyama, I have close to about 25 of his book in my book. Because he's a man we all of us were following, especially when we came into the public speaking terrain. All our role models were those from the Christian fraternity. When he came on board, we saw him and said, whoa, now we have our own. So I know the essence and the meaning of words and what words means. In actual fact, any transformation you have seen across human history was done by words. So if you look at the chapter 8, talking about Bawumia's vision and nation we can, how can somebody say we can and we say we cannot? One of my mentors in motivational speaking saying that if you don't want to be part of it, just have a seat, but don't say it's not possible. I was having a conversation in our office, and everybody, oh, it's not possible, it's not possible. I said, oh, beautiful. But there is a possibility that it can be possible. Yes. So if you look at the chapter 8, when the author is talking about, first thing he spoke about innovation. And he's trying to talk about Bawumia's vision in innovation. And come on, that's what I'm saying, that we may not wear political lens. Let's just look at it well. If somebody has an innovation for you, does it mean bad? You can just say, keep your innovation, but I don't want to be in innovation. But if the person is sending out a message and talking about innovation, and we all know that without innovations, nation cannot develop. And through history, you can see that in this country, the first vice president to talk about digitalizing the country is in there. So I'm just reviewing the book. I'm not telling you what am I feeling. I'm just telling you what the author was trying to tell us about what Bawumia stands for. So I think Prof has done a good job for putting this thing together. Excuse Paul, Prof, don't be offended what I say. I wish this was written by a Zongo and a Muslim. Yes, because when you have something of your own and you don't value, yes, you don't value, other people sit on there and value what you have. I don't play politics. And if you're a politician, you meet me, Nina Fadimaka Phyllis in a bomboy, need a big brother, Nina Chuchu Kunshi, Phyllis in a Nibamboy. Go back and a Fadimakaba. Nature my Phyllis in a. But the reality is that if you go to the chapter 12, where he's also talking about saying that I also have a vision for this country. Everybody has a vision. After all, we all knew vice presidents were not functionable. I have my own vision. So you can look at it from that lens. So that is what the book is talking about. I wish we get the book and sweep deep into the book and understand what dog is trying to shoot across about Bawumia. But let me tell you, I just want to take my seat. Bawumia being a vice president must be a motivation for us to aim higher, boys. Being there, it must be a motivation. Whether you are NDC, CPP, and what have you, and you are in Zongo and you are a Muslim, Bawumia is supposed to be an inspiration. Maybe you may not like certain things that is do fine, but know that it is one of the highest office. If you get there, is super. That is what you want to see. And I want to end this thing again and let you people know. I don't do politics, but I want to tell you, if you know what they call political power, tonight, Google what they say, political power. If you joke and lose this power, it will take 6 generations. I'm warming up. Boss, let me warm up with this. I just want to talk to the young people here. You don't have a clue what the political power is. Oh, I hear people talking Zongo and Abanito say, oh, but don't even I Muslimi, but don't even I. Hey, because I be like a political power. Yeah, yes, I can. I young in the neck. Call me. And if you don't take the opportunity now, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Please put your hands together. Taba, put your hands together. That is very powerful. And without sounding political, like he mentioned, political power with all humility, it's like kun fa yakun. Nkate yi abin sheyi. So that's how political power. That's how political power is.
Sheikh said I should give this to you.
Okay. So we will go to the final reviewer of the book. Yes, is the Maradona of scholarship when it comes to the Muslim Ummah. He, together with other individuals back then, started Ghana Muslim Student Association, which has grown and nurtured a lot of young Muslims into Islamic scholarships. Currently, he's a national patron of the National Jimsa. He's got 4 wives, 7 children. 4 wives, once again, 17 children. As a matter of fact, he said I should repeat that part again. As a matter of fact, he told me I should repeat it 3 times, so I'm going to repeat it the last time. 4 wives, 17 children. "31 books to his credit. And many more counting. We're blessed to have him, and he's aging gracefully. These are the fountain of knowledge. This person is a reference point for all of us as students and as people who are contributing to knowledge, who are seeking knowledge. I'm very happy each time I see him. We're at the Hajj this year with him, and we pray that Allah continue to guide him and strengthen him in good health and posterity. Please, with all humility and respect, let's give it as strongly, hugely to Sheikh Ishaq Niyama.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, may his peace and blessings be upon the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, his household followers, and all those who follow the path of Allah to the day of judgment. Dr. Aiche, my son Mustafa, and Pastor, I wish Mustafa had had more time, because this time I'm more into listening than talking. Wisdom is not a repository of one person. Wisdom is diverse. That is why in my home, out of the 17, 9 are graduates. And 4 have gone back for their masters. They'll be graduating towards the end of this year, and they'll proceed for their PhDs. I had prayed to the Almighty around the Kaaba some 37 years ago that, oh Allah, help me build a family of knowledge and Islamic work. So I have twins, identical twins, and they look very much like me. They are supporting me do my Dawah work. Very soon, we have got our gadgets in the house, a studio set up. So you'll be seeing me a lot on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Mustafa decided not to be political. I'm also not going to be political. Because every political presentation has the tendency to act as a barrier between you and your listener. The man is talking MPP and I'm a NDC. Therefore, I wouldn't even listen to him. So he'll be in this hall listening, but dead. And I don't want my presentation to go waste. Whatever I'm going to talk about is from personal experience that I've had with that great man, that great political figure that Muslims have got and they are misconstruing him. His Excellency Al-Hajj, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Of all, politicians, in general terms, not in specific terms, in general terms, have 2 diseases: corruption and womanization. I spoke to a few of them. They were ministers some time ago. And I told them that you people suffer from 2 sicknesses. Corruption. You steal state resources to make properties. And then you womanize. The minister who close from work will tell the wife that we have a long board meeting, which will go all the way to 12 midnight. Meanwhile, he's closing at 5 o'clock. And he'll go and pick a girlfriend of somebody's daughter at the age of 21 from Volta Hall and straight to Lancaster Hotel. Let me tell you, any politicians whose character is like that is living but dead. Napoleon Bonaparte, when he was invading Egypt some centuries ago, he had 2 ships. One packed with soldiers, and the other one with beautiful prostitutes. So the citizens of France asked Napoleon Bonaparte, as for the soldiers, we know their job, they are going to fight. What about the prostitutes? Then he said, I want to weaken the morale of the Egyptian army. Because if soldiers are going to fight, and you dump beautiful women on them, they engage in illicit sexual relationship with them. Anyone who does that will lose any sense of morality. His subordinates will get to know, and he cannot control them thereafter. I'm happy that I'm going to speak about His Excellency, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I love him because he has never been corrupt and has never been a womanizer. I love Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and he has never been corrupt and has never been a womanizer. Even his opponents, they know that this Muslim is a decent character. His Excellency President Kufuor, in 2008, when His Excellency Akufo-Addo chose him as the vice presidential candidate, President Kufuor said, "You are a man of destiny." And recently, he repeated it as a man of destiny. I asked myself, when Alhaji Biggie and Tamim asked me to do a delivery today, I asked myself, do I qualify? When I did the assessment, I realized I do. Because I've been very close to him for the past 3.5 years. In 2020, during the COVID time, I got sick. Taken to 37 Military Hospital on 21st May 2020. And the following day, my brother, Dr. Nabil, who works there, is the lead surgeon, and he took me there. Nabil Nuyama. He came the following day, and I was in coma. For 6 days, I was in coma. The third day, 7 doctors examined me, and they said I was a dead body, and I should be taken to the mortuary. My brother objected to it and said, my brother is not dead yet. To cut a long story short, they asked my brother, but you were part of the team that declared your brother dead. And he said, no, I'm opting out. They sent my sample to Noguchi and took me to the COVID center at that military hospital. 2 days on, Tuesday, the results came that I was negative. I didn't have COVID. They called my brother. Dr. Nabi Niyama, your brother is not going to be the first to die and the last to die. Let's send him to the mortuary so that we can concentrate on other people's sicknesses. Then he said he was coming. He went to his office, and Allah was inspiring him. He went to his office and wrote the highest potency of antibiotic injections. When the injections were brought, I wasn't there because I was dead. I was somewhere else. And they started to inject me. In the process of administering the injections, my eyes opened. That was Wednesday, the 5th day. Only the right eye came because the brain was off. But the following morning, my brother, Dr. Nabi Nuyama, came and my fingers were moving. Then he shouted, Allahu Akbar, my brother is coming back. To cut a long story short, when I was brought home, Captain Nasser, who is a Ghanaian but working with an airline in South Africa, notified His Excellency, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if you want to meet a politician who is humane, compassionate, then go for Bawumia. he spoke to His Excellency that our Malam is sick. He's in the house. Then His Excellency sent Dr. Rauf, former chairman of the Pharmacy Council, to bring me money to support me. About 2-3 years ago, Biggie would be the better person to tell me when it was. One of our Malams in Takrady was sick, had kidney failure. Yes. Biggie, what year was that? I think it was 2021. 22. Okay. And then His Excellency was notified. And the cost of transporting the sick person to India for treatment was $40,000. So the money was sent by an aircraft to Takrady to send our brother to India. Not only that, I'm talking to you about him from a close range. You know, recently, I spoke about him in Kumasi last week Sunday. Yes, which generates NLO. And it's still going on. The backlash. They are insulting me. They say Sheikh Nuyama has gone to take bribe. Let me tell you, throughout my life, I've never taken bribe. We had a program, Dawah program in Kumasi. A lot of journalists were there. So as the program was going on, one of the journalists came to me and asked, Sheikh Nuyama, by you people, what are you doing to help your brother to become the first Muslim president? Then I got up. I was charged. So I got up and said, 67 years. This is the closest we have come to the presidency. The closest as Muslims. So if not now, when again? Tamim, capture that portion for me and put on social media. If not now, when again? After my sickness in 2021, I was a bit well, so I started giving Juma. His Excellency came to follow me. I was the Imam at the police mosque. After the Salah, I'm just trying to establish that if I talk about the man that, if not now, when again, then I'm talking from close range. And some people called me. The first 2 days, they were calling me. I said, hey, you people, stop talking. Are you not a Muslim? He said, a Muslim. And a Muslim and a kafir. You are going for a kafir? That is the truth. If not now, when again? So His Excellency invited me home. And I went. He said, Monday is a public holiday. I'll be in the house. So I went. Then we met. We had some discussions about the religion and so on and so forth. Then I told him, my job, because you have been giving monies for people to slaughter cows and the rest, it's not bad. You can do it. But you yourself, what is the relationship between you and your Lord? Because you are looking for something from the Almighty. And He will look at your heart. So my job is to be coming to this house because you are a politician and economist. So there may be some aspects of Islam that you do not know. For example, tahajjud, salatul istikhara, salatul duha, al-adhkar, some portions of the Quran that he has to read when he goes to any program. So when we finished and I prayed, he said, listen to a good Muslim. He said, Sheikh Nuyama, you have lifted my spirit this morning. Who would talk like that if not a Muslim? A good one for that matter. So we started, and Biggie is a witness. I go to that house, noble house, and I see him. But I've given him an assignment that he should reduce his stomach and I'll give him a wife. So I qualify to talk about him. When you look at the book, you will discover that the following character traits have been mentioned at different places of the book. I use my experience as a student of knowledge to capture them. So, for example, humility. And all the character traits I'm going to mention, I call them magnetic characters. When you have them, you draw people to you. So, humility. That is why the Christians are rooting for him. They said, he's very, very humble. He is tolerant. You can insult him from morning to evening. He won't reply. Kindness. I've just mentioned one of them. It's a character trait when you have. You draw people to yourself. Hard work. Our doctor, professor, mentioned it. And he's results oriented. Those who are working at close range with him, they know that the man is results oriented. Al-Haji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a result oriented person. And he's a unifier. If you watch the campaigns in all the regions, how many Muslims are in this country? When you look at the audience that follows him, huge. Maybe only 2% are Muslims. The rest are all non-Muslims. Chiefs, pastors, who are not even Muslims, are rooting for him. And you Muslim, what are you doing? How many minutes? Then why did you invite me here? Religiously, listen, religiously oriented. He has built a huge mosque in Kumasi. Who has seen the Kumasi mosque? Go to Bolgatanga. They have a mosque there, which has been there for more than 50 years. And he's seriously working on it. He's built one at Walwale, one at Prang, and recently, I just want to make a point. Recently, the Sunyani Mosque, there's a house behind it, and they were selling it. 500,000 Ghana cedis. That is 5 billion. He was informed, and he sent the money to buy the place. Only a good Muslim will do these activities. Only a good Muslim will do these activities. In fact, if I want to talk about a man, it will take us hours. I have been given 3 minutes to complete. The chapter that impressed me most, I call it a chapter of motivation. The chapter the doctor calls the journey of possibilities. From Saka Saka, and now heading towards the presidency. So if you are a Muslim and you look at him, then the conclusion is that, he has done it. Then I can also do it. That chapter 14, you will discover that when he was chosen as a presidential candidate, and he was addressing the audience of party followers, he spoke about unity, expression of gratitude to his creator. He exhibited perseverance. He spoke about that. And then his dictum, that program, his dictum, the language he used, he injected a lot of motivation into us by saying that we can do it. Just like Obama. Chapter 7. I don't know where that English word came from. Digitalization. Initially, I was hearing digitization. Then maybe Biggie will have to educate me. Then I heard digitalization, even though they all mean the same thing. Except that maybe digitalization is more process-oriented. You go through some process and establish it. In fact, when you look at the book and the life of Dr. Bawumia, two things will come up. I think that, to be frank with you, this government has not tapped his knowledge in economics. He's the chairman of the economic management team. Others manipulated the whole situation, messed up, but he's the one who is being blamed. His compassion is unique. Somebody told me, Dr. Bawumia doesn't know how to give small money. When he's giving out, he gives big. It means that he's carrying the kind of heart that his life will touch everybody who is a Ghanaian. His life will touch everybody who is a Ghanaian in this country. His vision on digitalization, the writer himself has spoken about it, but I want to end by saying that Dr. Bawumia is the most enduring Muslim and political personality in our time. I want to thank all of you, but I've proposed to the writer that he should try and interview other people who know Dr. Bawumia and incorporate those interviews into the book. Then number two, he has never met His Excellency physically before. That shows sincerity, So I have asked him to arrange a meeting with His Excellency, then interview him one-on-one, and incorporate those interviews into the next edition of the book. Thank you very much. My appeal to you, as I said, if not now, when again? That should be the mantra. Thank you very much. So you are going to be ambassadors of that mantra. If not now, when again? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, once again, put your hands together. Put your hands together. What a wonderful speech. Please, with all humility, this is a piece put together by a professor. It's a research-based, individualistic approach towards the understanding of the man in question, and he's been able to put it in the form of book. And that is what we need to do. Before we make a pronouncement or a judgment, we must research and understand the character involved. Who is that person, not what you've been told. Find out for yourself. And if you find out, of course, you're going to know the truth. And he's known the truth. That's why he's telling us. All right, so at this moment, before we wrap up and then do the closing prayers, I'm sure a lot of us are yearning and are itching to say something as far as what you've heard from the author and our two noble speakers. If you have a contribution, whatever you want to have, you are entitled to do so at this moment. I don't know if anyone amongst us want to say something. We do that in a few minutes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Abubakar Siddiq Said. I'm really happy to be here. And then I really have a lot of questions to ask, but it's lack of time. But first and foremost, what I want to ask is, you said a lot about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, but most of us here, we didn't hear, or we've not heard where he is from, his date of birth, or whatever. Please. Where he went to school, where he graduated, and the rest, we haven't heard from him. So that's what I want to ask. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, fantastic. Please allow him. I will beg you.
Thank you very much. My name is Adam Sadiq. My own is a message or a contribution which I want to give it to Sheikh as he is close to our incoming president, inshallah. In his speech, he said that our vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, assisted someone to get access to for medication through India. So what I want to tell Sheikh to inform or to create his awareness, not assisting someone or giving someone finance money to go for medication that we want. What we want is for all citizens, Ghanaian citizens, to be trained here, so that necessary equipment should also be provided in Ghana, so that the less privileged can also get access to medication. So thank you.
Fantastic. Amongst our women? Oh, okay, let me take the last one from the women and then we... Okay, there's a lady here.
Assalamu alaikum. Please, mine isn't a question, it's a contribution. So after they shared the book to us, I went through, mine is a contribution. So after they shared the book to us, I went through chapter 7, which talks about digitalization. And I realized that the book tells us a lot about digitalization that we might not know about the inform. It tells us it delves deeper into digitalization from more than what we've been told on the internet. And also it tells us that he is not a perfect man, and the economy might not be as rosy as he told us he was going to be. But I think his policy about the digitalization, the books really explain it better for us to understand it.
I think it also has to do with the fact that if you know some of the things that is done, you can mention them and then also encourage when you think it's going to improve. I mean, for all of us, for our information, 40 students have been sponsored to go to Cuba and learn medicine. These are individual Zongo people who have been sponsored to go to Cuba and many others. He's also a pioneer of the Zongo Development Fund and the Zongo Inner City Secretariat and many other things that under his stewardship has been able to bring into bear. And so I will give it to Sheikh to...
Thank you very much. My brother, the vice president come from Wa, specifically, Wale. Went to Tamasco, you know Tamasco, Tamale Technical Sector, in charge of operation. So if you want to know, I spent time, I read the CV 7 pages. I read it online. Because what we need to be doing is that apart from what people say about people, we need to search about them. When they were running for the primaries, I decided to read all of them, their CVs. If you go online, you'll get it. So basically, that's where he's coming from. And typically, you can know that he's a Nima boy. Yeah, his family house, Kanda, is just back here. It's a typical Nima boy. And you have an opportunity in this book. you get some of his, bio to understand who he is. And Bawumia did something, and I've been telling the teams, I won't hide them. I told them that they need to sink down and let the young people understand the achievement of Bawumia. He sent 40 young Muslims to study medicine in Cuba. 40. In the history of Ghana, have you ever seen that 40 Muslims are sent to study medicine? Never. It has never happened. So, but he is just a vice president. So let's just say, if he's a president, you get it. And there are a lot of good he has done to people. We all remember, Sheikh Anak's mosque. He paid for the guy's operation to be flued, and other personal things that he has done for people. But what we are saying now is that when he gets an opportunity, something bigger can be done. And if you look at the Zongo Development Fund, the Zongo Ministry, for me, I've been telling the guys, I've been saying that the Zongo Ministry even have not come down to let the Zongo people understand what they have done. And that is the fact. I've been telling them, as a young Muslim and a Zongo boy must understand what a Zongo Development Fund is and the ministry is. In as much as they could have done better, I won't hide you, they could have done super better. They joke a little bit. But under them, if you look at the 6 block classrooms across the Zongos in Ghana, it is unmeasurable. And since you were following and the other people for more than 4 decades, can you point a 6 block classroom in Zongo built by those people? Never. Even a street light. We are being real. Or do I tell the brothers, calm down, let the Zongo and the Ummah understand. Although we have messed up a little bit, but if you give us opportunity, we warm up things and we make a larger contribution to the Ummah. Thank you very much.
All right, because of time, I don't know, can we take 2 and then we'll wrap it up? Just 2. If nobody's coming, then I think it's time for us to say goodbye. But before we do that, I want to take the opportunity to say a very big thank you to all of you, especially to our author, who have taken the pain and the time to put up this book together. I want to say thank you, Professor Eti Sikanku. Put your hands together for him. Thank you so much. May God bless you. May God continue to guide you as you pursue more knowledge. And of course, also to our pastor, a Zongo person, a Zongo man, Pastor Alexander King Doku. Put your hands together for him. Thank you so much for being here with us. And to our indefatigable youth commandant of the entire Africa. We're proud of him, and he's one of us. And just as Sheikh Nyoma mentioned, he wished that he has more opportunity because he enjoys when he speaks. Same applies here. I'm sure a lot of you enjoy him. Once again, put your hands together for Kustin Abrof Mustafa. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the time, and we're happy to be with you. And to our father, our leader, still guiding us, still being with us, Sheikh Ishaq Nyoma. Put your hands together for him. Let's do it big. Let's do it big. Let's do it big for him. And to all of us for coming to hear this message. Knowledge is indeed important. Just as all of them have mentioned, we need to be students of knowledge. When we hear things, let's go a little bit step ahead and research and find out who are these people. And then when you do that, the knowledge is with you. Nobody can confuse you. We need to do that so that we can own up to whatever is ours. Thank you so much. We want to say thank you to all of you. So we call upon Imam Tajuddin Idris, Regional Jimsa Imam, to do us the honor with the closing. Again, yes, come, please. No. Please, Tajuddin, come forward. Put your hands together for him to close us with a prayer. Inshallah. So, your president said he has handed the baton to you today. Yes, inshallah.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم انصرنا يا رب العالمين يا ميسر كل عسير يسر لنا أمورنا يا رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you once again. There's refreshment behind you. You can go and get yourself some natural juices to warm up your stomach. I want to say thank you once again for coming. We pray and hope that whatever we wish and ask for, Allah do it for us. My name is Abdullah Shamoud Bako. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
HAFIZ TV, unique every day.